Right. Apparently the computer is not seeing this microphone. Let me re-plug it in. That's the one. Unplug it and plug it back in. Yep. Okay. Can you hear me okay now, please? Okay. Technology, huh? Like, literally, you know that meme where they're like, have you tried turning it off and on again? Have you tried unplugging the USB and plugging it back in? Right, good afternoon, folks. How you guys doing? I was saying hello, Mark, times 2. Hello, Adam. Hey, Chris. Hey, Jacob. Hey, XO. Hey, Papa. How you guys doing? Good afternoon. Yeah, literally the IT crowd right here. Okay. So yeah, welcome to the Army List Show. We go live on every Sunday to look at multiple army lists submitted by the community. We have 5 to look at today. Normally it's 4, but we've got an extra one today because one of them is a 1,000-point list. So I figured we can sneak in a quick 1,000-point list, hopefully. So we'll be looking at 4 lists, and we'll be starting with the members list. So we usually start with the YouTube members lists. So the first one is by Chris Catherwood. Okay, and I'll try and, after the stream, what I usually do is I usually post all the army lists that we look at into the description or into the comment section of the video. So if you do like a list and you want to just get that list to look back at and check it out, usually maybe like an hour or 2 after the stream ends, we'll post those into the army section. And if you want to submit your list for a future episode, what you need to do is you just head over to YouTube and look up the Blood Angels Commander YouTube page, or the BA Commander. We did change the name this week, so we are just BA Commander now. And click over on the community tab, and in the community tab here on the latest post, I guess this post is a little bit old, a week or 2 ago, but it doesn't matter. Just hit the comment section, fire your list in there, and I will pick them up, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so I guess the other news this week, I think we're going to have the next tier list video out on Friday, so we'll be looking at Forge World stuff. I know a few people have really been enjoying the tier list videos, so I think there's just a couple left, and then we'll be finishing up that series, and I guess we'll be moving into some sort of future series, so you can check that out. And I think tomorrow night we are going to be playing Death Guard live on the channel. I think it's going to be Colin's Death Guard. I think it's going to be his tournament list, so if you want to see us play Death Guard, things have been rough recently. I have not been winning games since the chapter approved drop. I guess our lists went up in points, and things were a bit difficult for us before, maybe even more so now. So up against Death Guard tomorrow, probably going to be Mortarion again, and Last time it was like 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, 3 Fletted Bloat Drones, a couple of Demon Princes. So probably going to be something similar. So I guess we're going to check that out tomorrow night, and hopefully we're going to do a bit better. I've brought Null Zone back into my list, and maybe that was one of the key things that was missing. It certainly will help to deal against Mortarion. So let's get fired into today's first list then. And as always, we'll score these lists on like 5 different categories: how good they are at holding OBSEC, how well they do against anti-horde infantry, with sort of like clear from blast weapons and shooting, how well they do against like big monsters and vehicles that they might have to kill, how mobile they are, and then are they too specialized in any particular form. And when we talk about specialization, we're usually looking to see like, does the list have any denies, do you have enough units to perform actions, this sort of stuff. Good day, Hondo. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so let's have a look at Chris's list, and this is a Patrol and Vanguard list. And we haven't, I was going to say, I guess we've seen a good number of Patrol and Vanguard lists as of late. So Patrol and Vanguard, 2,000 points and 7 CP spent. So I guess we're starting with 5. We start with a Primaris Chaplain on a bike, who is the Master of Sanctity. And he has the Wise Orator, and he has the Benediction of Fury. And he has Angel's Exemplar, giving him Gift of Foresight, I guess, on top of the Master of Sanctity. And he has Litany of Hate, Mantra of Strength, and Recitation of Focus. Recitation of Focus is the one that gives you +1 on your shooting rolls, right? I don't typically run that litany myself. Recitation of Focus is when it makes a ranged attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Yeah, so I guess the interesting thing about doing that, hey Reziel, is that you'll be able to give some heavy unit next to the Chaplain in the early turns of the game the ability to hit on 2s, right? We then have the Sanguinary Priest, who's upgraded to the Chief Apothecary, and he has the Teeth of Terra. I'm struggling to make the Chief Apothecary work at 155 points. I think he's very expensive, and also I don't like spending relics on him, really. I mean, with the Teeth of Terra, sure, he has 8 attacks, I guess, on the charge, and I mean, they are Strength 5 -2 damage, so he can mop up some infantry. I guess the question mark is, should the priest ever be in combat, right? The priest should only be in combat if you've kind of overwhelmed your enemy and you're confident that he's never going to get hit back. So I get the reason behind putting Teeth of Terra on it, but personally I don't know if it's a valid pick. Like, I feel like you only want your priest in combat if you're 100% sure he's not going to die, because he's so valuable and he's kind of squishy, right? Like, he's just 4 wounds on a 3+ save. Usually if the enemy can get in contact with your priest, they're just going to kill him, right? Like, if they don't target your priest, I guess they're naive in realizing how strong his buff is, right? With his healing and his feel no pain. So yeah, toughness 4 wounds, 3+ save. Like, he really doesn't survive. Icon of Angel would possibly be a better relic pick on the priest, yeah. I mean, I'd even say Armor Indomitus would be a better pick on the priest, because, like I said, you probably only want him in combat in worst case scenario. Okay, we then have a Librarian Dread with Meltas, 155 points, Iron Resolve to give him that 6+ shrug, and 9 wounds, which is pretty nice. I like the Iron Resolve on Librarian Dread. Mark's saying Jack Hampshire's undefeated Bloody Angels list is currently matched against Richard Siegler's also undefeated AdMech list in the semi-finals of the GWS Orlando Open. That's actually bad for us, Mark, because I don't think jump lists like that for Blood Angels are particularly great anymore. Like, are people... I'd be interested to know why people are getting beaten by that, because they're very one-dimensional, those lists, right? Like, I had a look at the list, and there's no... He's got no Whirlwind or anything, right? So, like, is he just not coming up against players that are either experienced in dealing with the Blood Angels, or what? Because I guess in my meta, those sort of lists don't have any chance in hell. So yeah, I'm confused why that list is doing so well. I mean, good for the guy to be doing so well with it, but yeah, I mean, like, his Death Company is literally, I think it's a 5-man Death Company with like 4 Thunderhammers. Like, to me, that's insane. That's so many points, like 180 odd points, and like they would in my. I would never get to fight with them first, probably, and even if I do, they probably get wiped off the table right after. A lot of points to lose. It's a strange one. Okay. We then have Infiltrators with the Helix Gauntlet, and the Helix Gauntlet is pretty cool, right? Like, it just gives them quite a bit more survivability. The first time they fail a save, the damage is reduced to 0. So just make sure Infiltrators hang around a little bit longer. If you've got 10 points spare at the end of the list, I kind of like the Helix Gauntlet. I haven't used it so much myself, but I understand it's got good value in it. 5 Blade Guard Veterans with the Neo Volkite Pistol and the Sergeant for 185 points. 5 Sanguinary Guard, all with axes, 2 with Infernal Pistols for 170 points. Death Company Marines, 9-man with 3 Thunderhammers, 6 Chainsaws, 2 Infernal, 2 Flamers, 290 points. So very, very scary turn 1 Death Company here, which is cool. And then the Judasar. Librarian Dreads are very cool and they seem pretty strong. At least they did some kind ago. Is that still the case? Yeah, Librarian Dreads are strong. I think their only weakness is their weapon skill is 3+. But if you have some way to improve their weapon skill, then I think they're great. They can do so much damage. We then have Outriders for 150 points and Plasma Inceptors in the fast attack roll. And we've talked about Outriders. I struggle to see the value in Outriders, right? They are the exact same points as 5 Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws now. And I think what the Outriders gain an additional point of toughness, they would lose out in terms of damage output and survivability versus Vanguard Vets. Outriders, I'm going to say Outriders are 4 wounds, right? I actually did a video comparing Outriders to Vanguard Vets, and there was very few cases where the Outriders actually did survive against more weapons, right? Because the Vanguard Vets have that 2-up save, which, you know, they have 1 more toughness, and the Vanguard Vets have 1 more in their armor save, but then the Vanguard Vets have the invulnerable save, and they just have more attacks because the Lightning Claws and the reroll hits. And also, Outriders are great when they charge, but their damage falls off not hilariously bad, horribly bad in the second round of combat, right? Because you get 6 additional attacks when you charge. If you're not charging, then they're generally quite weak, I feel like. But, I mean, if you want to have a fast unit that you go and throw on like an objective and score engage on all fronts or something like that, I can understand why you would pick this. I just think that there's probably better things you could do it. I think poo-pooing the BA list at the GT is probably a mistake. Yeah, I mean, maybe it is a mistake. It's the Wrath of Baal list, right? With like a bunch of jump units. Maybe in my meta, people are too familiar with that, right? Like, I just don't think that works ever. Like, in the meta I'm in, I just lose every game if I try and do that tactic. And maybe it's because my enemies are too familiar with Blood Angels. But, I mean, I've tried it. I've tried it with terrain, I've tried it with all sorts, and I have lost so many games using that tactic that I kind of just stepped away from it. We then go to Eliminators, 75 points. We go to Eradicators with 3 Melta Rifles for 135 points, and then we go to Eradicators with Heavy Melta Rifles and a Multi-Melta for 155 points. And I think I generally prefer the Eradicators with Assault a lot more than I prefer Eradicators with Heavy Melta Rifles, because 5 inches move is very restrictive, I feel like. I mean, I think the strength of the Eradicators is probably that they can move and shoot, and yes, they give up some of their firepower to do that. I guess the other thing to say is, like, if you are going to be playing a more static list, and I guess what I mean by a more static list is you're going to let the enemy come to you, then Heavy Melta Rifles are arguably amazing. But when I played with them, I struggled on any list that, like, you need to be the aggressor. You move your 5 inches, and then you shoot the heavy melt rifles at -1. And yeah, I wasn't a huge fan, honestly. So he's going to his first RTT on August 21st with this list, and I'm signed up for one more tournament every month until November. Alright, so he's going to his RTT next Friday. I've played 7 games of 9 so far, but with less meta lists, and was painting my way to this list. Really looking forward to playing this one. I could save a few points in a few places here, but not enough to add another Sanguinary Guard or 2, I don't think, unfortunately, and maybe a CP by not giving Teeth of Terror to the Priest. But I like the Sanguinary Priest to be extra fighty, I think, and sadly I don't own a Whirlwind. So that's fine, right? Not that Sure Outriders are worth 60 points more than normal bikers if you want to use them in Gauge Relentless. That's maybe a good point, James. And that many jump hackers with Wrath of the Ball is good if used well, is just one-dimensional and can be hard countered if people know how yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing, Highland. So if the enemy doesn't have things that hard counter that list, and you get turn 1, you move everything at 14 inches, most of your stuff is obscured, then that list is amazing, right? However, if the enemy can, like, you know, if the enemy has ways to basically make you fight last and or reduce your movement and potentially, you know, like, I suppose like an enemy could have something similar to suppression fire. I know when I was fighting into Nurgle and he was using that revolting stench vats, they basically have 2 different ways to make you fight last, which made the Nurgle opponent unchargeable, right? Like, it just, if you charged him, you lost pretty much your whole units before you even got to fight. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's something to be said. So what could we say about this list then? I mean, he's got the Judasar and he's got 5 Blade Guard veterans and he's got Sanguinary Priest, right? So all these guys could move sort of center board, shore up the center of the board, have the Judasar. Do you know what? That's a good point, right? So I would, if this was me, I would probably drop Teeth of Terra and give our Judas CR. I'd use the CP from Teeth of Terra to give the Judasar Selfless Healer, right? No, Selfless Healer, sorry. Selfless Valor. So give the Judas CR the 6-inch Heroic Intervention, because then that gives you that amazing ability to make the enemy fight last if they charge you. Using that right is probably more important. Can he not do that? Is he out of... What has he got? Oh, he's got Selfless Healer. Okay. That's annoying. I mean, I'm reluctant to drop Iron Resolve on the Librarian Dreadnought, but like maybe it's a better idea to let this Judasar, because the strength of the Judasar is he heroically intervenes 6 inches and then he makes an enemy within 3 inches fight last. And remember, the key thing with the heroic intervention is when you heroically intervene your 6 inches, you do not need to ending in engagement range. So basically what that means is you can make a move of up to like 4.9 inches, stay out with engagement range, and make the enemy fight last. So your Judas CR is completely protected if you use this correctly. Is Selfless Valor worth more than Iron Resolve in this case? I'd probably say yes, because I think the fight last with comboed with Blood Angels used correctly is amazing. And I guess, you know, if you're not going to bring the Whirlwind, and I guess this guy is 20 points cheaper than the Whirlwind, all he does is make it that you have 4 characters so that you're a little bit easier to play Assassinate against, but that's not the end of the world. Yeah, I think I like that more. You know, we talked a little bit about eliminators on the channel a few times now, and we basically, I think, said that one squad of eliminators doesn't feel like it really cuts it. Like, you're probably going to want 2 squads. And I ran one squad for a few times. I ran one squad with a Phobos captain, and I felt like it was okay, but it wasn't amazing. I think if you're going to run eliminators, you probably want 2 squads. Here's a question for you guys that also run Eliminators a lot. Is one squad of Eliminators going to be better than, like, let's say, a Vindicator Assassin? You know, because essentially they do the same thing, right? They snipe a single character. I guess occasionally you can use, like, what are they called? The bolts that give you the... I forget what they're called. I only use the Eliminators, like, 2-3 games. The... Hyper Frag rounds. Heavy D3, Strength 5, the blast rounds, you know? Vindicators are underwhelming. Yeah, I mean, I think... What's more underwhelming, though? One squad of Eliminators or the Vindicator? Because I guess the great thing with Eliminators, I think, is if you give the Sergeant that gun that lets them move after shooting, the Instigator Bolt Carbine, you know, but if you do that, then I guess you ultimately lower their damage output in terms of raw sniping power. Okay. So people seem to prefer one squad of Eliminators, but yeah, one squad on their own kind of, for me, felt a little bit underwhelming, I guess. The Big Death Company, and there's the option to get the Blood Chalice down on the Death Company, so we can get like turn 1 charge with Savage Echoes, so that's decent. Plasma Receptors obviously are very good, even at 60 points per model. They can do a lot of damage. The Assassin can farm CP, that's a good point. Eradicators. I mean, I like regular Eradicators, I think, more than the heavy ones, just because I feel like... Yeah, I mean, the heavy ones, you're always going to be shooting at -1 to hit, probably. And I imagine, like, the way that you negate that is with, like, a Captain or a Chapter Master buff, and we don't have it here, so... It might be better to save 10 points here. I'm not sure where else you could spend the 10 points, though. Because Plasma Receptors can't really get upgrades. Blade Guard already have... Yeah, I'm not sure where else you would spend the 10 points. But I think I would swap out Iron Resolve for Selfless Valor. I think that would be a good improvement. I mean, you could probably drop... Trying to think if there's a way we could squeeze one more model out of here, but I don't think there is that much flexibility, I guess. You know, like if you had 5 Vanguard veterans with Lightning Claws and Storm Shields, I'd probably be more tempted to run them over Outriders. That's just my personal thought. And I guess you've got Eliminators for holding an objective. You have the Infiltrators for holding an objective. They're both Phobos units, so they can... Eliminators are Phobos units, aren't they? Yeah, so they can both guerrilla tactics and score you some points. More Sanguinary Guard for the Outriders or Vanguard Veterans. Yeah, I mean, like, if you still wanted to have that other squad, then maybe Company Veterans here. Like a couple of Company Veterans. Like just 2 of them. Or something. For like 40 or 50 points, I guess, if you give them Storm Shields and then beef up the Sanguinary Guard. 5-man Sanguinary Guard does feel a little bit weak. When people talk about running jump units, they usually recommend to run one large jump unit. So you're kind of doing that with the Death Company. Good morning from Canada, Carrie. How you doing? So yeah, I think that's, if I was going to change this list out, it'd probably be the Outriders and the Heavy Melt Rifles are the 2 things that I think could maybe be improved. When we made the tier list, I'm going to share these tier lists pretty soon, so you guys can get access to all of them. I just haven't done it yet because we've got a couple left to do. But when we did the fast attack tier list, where did we put Outriders? Okay, we put them right down in bottom of C tier. I think for some reason these things don't always save properly because that's supposed to be there. So yeah, we said Outriders were generally pretty crappy. There isn't many things that are worse than Outriders. So the Outriders definitely raise a flag, and then yeah, I mean, I guess the heavy melt rifles you just have to play around and be smart with. I like your character. I think this guy with the Benediction of Fury is awesome. And you know, a couple of people, I think it was Mark, said that starting with 5 CP is really low. So I'd drop Teeth of Terra. Try and just keep your healer out of combat. He does what he needs to do, which is healing and reviving. And so try and keep the healer out of combat, do your healing and reviving, and then give your Judicar the Selfless Valor, so that if he's middle of the board with Bladeguard Veterans, the healer, and himself, and you just basically need to make space so he can heroically intervene. I actually need to quickly... It's been a little while since I read the rules on heroic intervention. Give me 1 second. Let me just bring this up. Heroic... I know that you can choose not to do your full move when you do a heroic intervention, right? Like, you do not need to end up in engagement range. But what is the actual wording? Performing an heroic... your opponent can select to perform a heroic intervention. A character is one that is not within engagement range of any units, but is within 3 inches, so with Selfless Valor it's 6 inches. After they finish performing a heroic intervention with the character, they can select another eligible... Yeah, okay. No unit can perform more than 1 heroic intervention. So, it's basically saying, like, you just need to be... So, you would need to be within 6 inches of the enemy units, but... you do not need to end with an engagement range, right? So you don't even... If you have your Bladeguard Veterans set up, and the Judas are right behind them, maybe an inch behind them or something, if the enemy ever charge those guys, then you're free to move your Judiciar and make sure that the enemy fights last. So I think you can use this really, really effectively. I think it's Iron Resolve on the Librarian Dreadnought is nice, but I think in this list, this is a better pick. Okay, let's think about a little bit of scoring. I have too many tabs open already. That's usually how my day goes when I'm working. I just always have too many Google tabs open. Okay, so objective holding. We have 1 OBSEC unit. We suppose we have some snipers and we have some melter rifles that can potentially hold, but 1 OBSEC unit leaves us about 7.5 here. Now, how are we going to clear enemy crap? We're going to clear some of them with the Plasma Inceptors. I guess we can maybe clear some of them with the bolt, what did we say, the hyperfrag rounds? Maybe. Infiltrators generally don't kill much with their shooting. Bladeguard Veterans generally don't kill anything with their shooting. Sanguinary Guard with Infernal Pistols, we're not going to get a lot of clear out of that. And then our Death Company with Chainswords. So our shooting clear is really, really weak. Our melee clear is reasonably decent. But possibly by having a really, really weak shooting clear, and I guess this is I guess this is something to say about this GT list, Reziel, that's like winning games and doing really, really well. If someone can post that list again on Discord, that would be great. But like, it has literally no shooting clear as well, right? So it would score very low in terms of the blast score, because it's got very little... I mean, okay, Outriders, I guess you get some bolt guns there. Maybe it could be an 8, but I feel like it's 7.5. I feel like the shooting in this list is next to nothing in terms of clearing out Horde units. If you're shooting Eradicators at Hordes, like Poxwalkers or something, that's generally going to be very, very bad. Okay. Anti-monster. How many 3 damage weapons we got here? So we've got 6 Eradicators, so that gives us 6. We've got 3 Thunder Hammers, and 2 more Infernal Pistols. That gives us 11. Another 2 Infernal Pistols. That gives us 13. Librarian Dread is like 14. And then the Primaris Chaplain and the Bite 15. So we have a very good number of 3 damage weapons. A bunch of those really heavy-hitting Eradicators, which we know point for point on heavy are kind of crazy. So probably like a 9. It'll be down to are Eradicators mobile enough to be in the position, because they're going to be dishing out most of our firepower. If they are, we'll probably do not bad. Mobility in this list. Plasma Inceptors, Outriders are mobile. Death Company, Sanguinary Guard. So and I usually rate. I really would try and put the Instigator Bolt Carbine on this guy, because I think the mobility it gives them is great. And then I think we have like probably like a 7.5 for mobility. There's quite a lot of stuff that's on foot, right? And then specialization. So what do we have? We have the ability to fight last. That's correct. We also have no Psyker, so we're missing denies. We're kind of low on units for actions, because we... I suppose if you pick the right secondaries, the Bikers can do some actions as well. Thank you for subscribing, Stefano. We do have denies. Sorry, I always forget the Librarian Dreadnought can do denies. Of course you can. I just haven't used Librarian Dreadnought myself in a little while. So, let me close this. I keep clicking on it. We do have a deny. 1. We do have a fight last. Maybe limited on the number of units for actions. And then a good number of 3 damage weapons. So, possibly like a 9 for specialization. Maybe an 8.5. Could be a 9. I think few people have said Icon of the Angel would be useful in this list. I mean, Icon of the Angel I think is always useful, especially if you are trying to make early charges or even any range charge. Eradicators are the one, the heavy melt rifle Eradicators. I tried them. I loved their damage, I just hated their mobility. So they're like a love-hate thing for me. And then, yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. A couple of small tweaks that I've mentioned maybe make it a little bit better. And if I would try and start with 6 CP as well. I think starting with 5, I've played games and started with 5. 5 is rough. Yeah, I've played games that start with 4. 4 is horrendous. 5 is rough. 6 is probably reasonable. I think the list I'm playing at the moment is starting with 6 or 7. I forget. I can check though, because it's on my desktop. And the list I'm going to be playing tomorrow starts with 6. Yeah, so I think 6 is about the minimum you ever really want to start with. All right, let's jump into the next list. And this list is submitted by Maverick. I think I saw Maverick in the chat today. So, hey, Maverick, thank you for the submission. Let's get into it. Cool. So this is, let me see how many he's starting with. Oh, he's starting with 4. Okay. Maverick's going for it. Cool, so we start with the Eviscer Assassin, 100 points. And the Eviscer is the one... He's actually pretty cool. I'm going to bring up his stats just because I don't remember 100% off the top of my head, but I believe he has the ability to fight twice. And he has a lot of attacks. Yeah, 6 attacks. He can use either his Power Sword or his Neuro Gauntlet. So you can get a lot of attacks with reroll wounds with the Gauntlet, or you can use the Power Sword. He's definitely an infantry killing machine. I think is it Hyper... no, Stim Overload. So you can pay 2 CP. After he's fought, this model can fight an additional time. On a 1, 2, or 3, he suffers a mortal wound. So 1 mortal wound to get to fight twice. He also has this 1 CP thing, which is basically gives him a 4+ shrug against mortal wounds. Each time this 4+ shrug against all other wounds except mortal wounds. based on his 4+ invulnerable save, so he can actually be pretty survivable. And he rolls 3d6 when he charges. If he dies, he explodes with mortal wounds. If an enemy falls back from him, he can shoot at them. His pistol is pistol 4 -1 with reroll 2 attacks. And Killing Rampage, I forget this rule. Each time a modellist unit is destroyed, oh yeah, he gets to make additional attacks if he kills models. So each time this model is destroyed as a result of an attack, you can immediately make one more attack. So I guess like if you charge into a group of enemies that had like 10, I don't know, you charge a squad of 20 Poxwalkers. Let's say he kills 6. You would get to do 6 additional attacks. And also he can consolidate 6 inches. And so, he could charge a squad of Poxwalkers, kill 6 of them, get 6 additional attacks, pay 2 CP to fight again, kill another 5 of them, get a bunch more attacks. So Eversor Assassin is an infantry killing monster. And I think he's decent. I also like the fact he does that 3d6 charge. So, like, if he... I forgot he adds 2 to his attacks when he charges or makes a heroic intervention. Okay, so when he arrives from Deep Strike, you get to make a 3d6 charge. And it's a pretty guaranteed charge, right? Because the rule is you don't pick the 2 highest results, right? The rule is that you just roll 3d6. Yeah. So if we go onto any dice and output 3d6 and say we need at least a 9 for a 9-inch charge, there's a 75% chance of making that 9-inch charge on 3d6. And I guess if you were willing to spend a CP to reroll that, then I guess you're on like a 90-something% chance of charging. Okay. We then have a captain who is the Artisan of War. He has the gift of Foresight. He has the icon of the Angel and an Infernal Pistol and a Master-crafted weapon and a Thunderhammer. Okay, interesting choice. So this is a jump captain with rerolls to charge aura, the Master-crafted Thunderhammer, and gift of Foresight. Okay. Assault Intercessors just as they come, 95 points. Death Company of 3 Thunderhammers, 5 Bolters and Chainswords, 245 points. Sanguinary Guard of 2, 4, 6, 7 with mostly axes, 1 Infernal Pistol and sword, so good choices all around there. And then 1 Eliminator Squad. All Eliminators have the sniper rifle. Like I said, I do really like the Investigator Bolt Carbine. Because I guess it gives you that essential double move on your Eliminators, which I think is pretty nice. I think used right, it can help you a lot. So, something to consider. I mean, it's free. But, yeah, have a think about that. Okay. We then have a second captain on a bike. Is this a Death Company captain or something? This is invalid, right? You can't have 2 captains. I thought if you wanted to take 2 captains, you needed to upgrade one of them to a chapter master or a Death Company captain. Somebody correct me on that. So because they're both just regular captains, then this is actually invalid. You could fix it. You think it's 2 detachments, but it's okay? Let me find the rules. I think it's in the section about chapter command, is it? I actually don't know where that is in the codex. 1 captain per detachment is correct? Okay, alright, thank you. It's per detachment. Okay, alright, I appreciate that. Where is that in the codex though? Just because apparently I don't remember the rule. Alright, so the second captain is Hammer of Baal, Infernal Pistol, Imperium Sword, and he's on a bike. So this is very much a smash captain. Hammer of Baal gives them those what is it, the Thunder Hammer, basically, with wounding on 2s and hitting on 2s. Page 93. Page 93. Detachment. You can include a maximum of 1 captain model and 2 lieutenant models in each detachment in your army. Thank you, Highland Phoenix. Appreciate that. Okay, so each detachment has a captain. I thought it was army-wide. My bad. Okay. Imperium Sword gives him +1 to his attacks. So he's basically like 7 attacks with a Thunder Hammer that hits on 2s and probably wounds most things on 2s or 3s. Greetings, Lamartis. Good evening. How you doing? We then have the Primaris Chaplain, and he's got the Benediction of Fury, and he has just the Litany of Hate. He's missing. Oh no, Mantra of Strength. All right, so he's running. He's running a captain with a Mastercrafted Thunderhammer with an Icon of the Angel Aura. He's running another captain with a reroll charge or a reroll charge for himself and the Hammer of Baal, and then he's running the 4 damage Crozius potentially from the Mantra of Strength. So this, you know, you say Hero Hammer is dead, but I guess this list is trying to be Hero Hammer. And then you've got the Eviscer Assassin bringing up as well. So you've got 3 heroes that are going to try and do a lot of damage against like armor, and then you've got one that's going to take out infantry. We've got Blade Guard Veterans on its 4-man squad, and they're going, I guess, to the middle of the board with the Judasar, who is Selfless Valor. I will get that right at some point in the stream today. And he's got obviously his Executioner Blade, and the Selfless Valor makes this guy tied with the Blade Guard Veterans very, very interesting. I mean, you could even call this Judasar Hero Hammer as well, because his Executioner Blade is actually badass. When I used to run the Judasar, people got surprised at how much damage he can do, because his blade's like Strength 7, -3, I think. I'm just going to check. But like, I think he's a beast, and he does 6s, mortal wounds. 6s do mortal wounds with his blade as well. Where is the Judasar's blade again? I'm going to flick through every page. Here we go. So, flip the camera. We're looking at Executioner Blade, melee, +3 strength, -3 AP, 2 damage, and each attack is made on an unmodified roll of 6. We do 1 mortal wound. So you can get 6 attacks for Blood Angels. Based on the fact you get 6 attacks, you're probably going to make a mortal wound every turn with him. So that's not bad at all. Judasar's Blade is better than Dante's Axe. Do not make me sad, Jacob. You literally don't make me sad about Dante. We'll start a whole other rant about me and Dante if we go down that route. Okay, we then have a Redemptor Dreadnought who has the Macroplasma Cannon and the Onslaught Cannon, and we have another one who's armed the same. I like this. I think 2 Redemptors is actually great. I've been running it. I'm running it tomorrow night against Death Guard. You'll see it live if you want to tune in. So I like the double Redemptor. We then have Vanguard Veterans with Claws and Storm Shields, an Infernal Pistol and the Sergeant. I like this as well, 150 points. What would be a good starter unit for Blood Angels? You mean like just to start the army? Like you have nothing and you just want to get started? And then we have a bike squad. So it's 1 attack bike, and then 3 regular bikes. And the 1 attack bike has multi-meltas, so this is just almost like ablative wounds for this 1 multi-melta. Okay, so 2 really strong heroes, big Death Company, big Sanguinary Guard, or reasonably sized Sanguinary Guard in 7. Eliminators, 1 squad, 2 Redemptors, the bike squad with another multi-melta, and... okay. Hi Commander, this is my new list inspired with a chat with Reziel. Alright Reziel, you're on for this. So if this list doesn't score well, we'll blame you. It's a very aggressive list, and it's probably not very competitive, but I reckon it's quite fun. Assault Intercessors and Eliminators will hold objectives and do actions. Blade Guard, Judasar, and Redemptors hold the middle. Bike Chaplain and Vanguard Veterans flank. Smash Chaplain and Sanguinary Guard Deep Strike. I mean, based on what we've been saying recently, is don't... As much as you want to say these guys are going to deep strike, wait till you see what your opponent's got, wait till you see what they're likely to do before you automatically do deep strike. this is something that I've been doing incorrectly, I think. I've been, without even thinking about it in like my last, because it was working in a bunch of games, I just was always deep striking my Vanguard veterans, right? And it was working, and it worked for 11 games in a row. And so once it started working so long, I took any thought out of the decision, and I've just been deep striking them at every game. So I think that's the wrong call. And I mean, I guess we've talked about it. I've talked about it in the members on Discord, and we all kind of agree with that, right? So, as much as you want to just always deep strike these guys, look at the board and decide if it's the right call, because that's something that I've been doing wrong. Oscar, if you've got nothing Blood Angels and you just want to get started, I think probably a great unit to start with is probably like your Sanguinary Guard, maybe. Maybe in chat, if you had to buy one unit to start a Blood Angels army, tag Oscar and let him know what unit you would buy. I think I would probably say either Sanguinary Guard or, I was going to say, or something you would paint red, right? Because Sanguinary Guard you would paint gold. Alright. The Smash Captain and the Sanguinary Guard deep strike, the Bike Captain and the Bike's flank, the Death Company Forlorn Fury, the Eviscer to keep and use as a counterpunch, and I'm hoping it will scare the crap out of opponents basically not want to come out their deployment zone. The plan would be to just overwhelm them and still have the speed and units in reserve to counter anything. Oh, there was a mistake in the list. The Eliminator Sergeant does have the Bolt Carbine. Okay, and the Biker Sergeant has a Chainsword. What did the Biker Sergeant have? Because I didn't even read that. Okay, he just has a Chainsword as well. Cool. So, Robert's saying save up and get the Dark Angels Combat Patrol Box, because yes, it has a few different units that you could start for Vanguard for Blood Angels. Vanguard Veterans is actually a great shout as well, Adam. Vanguard Veterans are super competitive at the moment. You can make a fun squad with one box of those, and obviously you can paint them red with golden helmets. And I guess you probably get leftover bits in the Vanguard Veterans box as well. And just remember, there is a link in the video description to Element Games. So if you are in the UK, or even if you're in Europe, maybe you can get 20% off any Warhammer models if you use the link in the video description. So think about doing that. I don't know why anyone pays full price for. I never buy from the Games Workshop website. I always use Element Games. They're very, very quick at ordering, and it's literally, I think I recently bought Hexfire, and it's like £105 on the Games Workshop website, and on Element Games it's 84. You know, so it's literally $21 in your pocket. Like, why? Games Workshop are making millions and millions of dollars profit every year. Why not keep your $20? That's my thought on it, I guess. Please show the first attachment again. Sure, it was the Eviscer. Well, the Eviscer Assassin's kind of an attachment of his own. It was the Captain with the Mastercrafted Thunderhammer and Icon, the Salt Intercessors, the Death Company with 3 hammers, the Guard with 1 Infernal Pistol and mostly axes, and then the Eliminators. I wish I'd built my Sanguinary Guard first. Their wings are a bit harder to put on as a beginner. Yeah, I mean, Sanguinary Guard wings are a little bit delicate. I tried to not get less than 25% off myself. Yeah, I mean, if you shop around, you can definitely save a good amount of money. I do all my shopping through Element Games. I really like them, actually. Okay. I was going to say, I haven't been on Element for a little while, but they used to actually have a couple of bundles on there, right? Like Blood Angels. Let me see. Blood Angels Commander. Let's see. Yeah, there's some bundles. The Blood Angels Commander Elite Infantry Bundle, the Blood Angels Commander HQ Bundle, and the Blood Angels Commander Support Bundle. So, do you know what? If you've got like £60 to £90 and you're wanting to do a big commitment into the Blood Angels, then here you go, you know? Get some Death Company, Vanguard Vets, and Sanguinary Guard, or get a Dreadnought, a Sanguinary Priest, and a Chaplain on a bike, or get some attack bikes and a Redemptor and Inceptors. All of those are good picks, all of them rated high in the tier listings. Okay. So I like this list quite a bit, actually, I think. It is on 4 CP, so that's probably the one thing I don't like about it. 4 CP is a little bit limiting, but especially if you're going to Forlorn Fury that Death Company, so that's going to basically kind of cost you 2. So you're going to start the game with potentially 3 CP, question mark. But 2 Redemptors, Blade Guard Veterans, Judasar for the middle. 3 really powerful combat characters. Solid Death Company, solid Sanguinary Guard, and I guess Redemptors as fire support. Yeah, let's do some scoring. Do you have an affiliate bundle with a US-based store? Yes, I do. But it's difficult. The one that I've got affiliate is Noble. And it should be in the video description. Is it? If you click on like the about page here and scroll down, do you know what? I don't think it's there actually. Maybe I need to put it here. Maybe that's why I don't make a lot of money from it. There was one though. If I go to another one of my videos, maybe this will be Inception for a second. If I go to, and we've gone to Tabletop Tactics. We don't want to be doing that. The US-based one is Noble Knight. Here it is. You can see it. So unfortunately their stock isn't the greatest, but Noble Knight. I guess they do have discounts though, right? Maybe not as much discount as you get in the UK, but they do bits of discounts here and there. So nobleknight.com, and there is a link in the video description, I guess. Okay, let's do some scoring on this list. And we are looking at OBSEC holding with just really one troop unit. Yes, we have some infiltrator eliminators, but it's not that much. Anti-horde infantry. We've got 2 onslaught cannons, so that's a start. We got a bunch of biker bolters, so that's something as well. I guess our captain and chaplain on the bike can throw out a little bit of firepower. Our sanguinary guard can throw out a little bit of firepower. And then our eviscerator is actually going to mop up infantry as well. So I guess maybe like an 8.5 here for anti-horde. It's probably a bit stronger than the last list. 3 damage weapons then. This captain has one. There's 3 Thunderhammers here giving us 4. An Infernal Pistol and the Sanguinary Guard giving us 5. 2 more on these characters giving us 7. 2 Redemptors giving us basically 11. And then an Infernal Pistol here giving us 12 and a Multi-Melta. So we've got about 13, 14. He can use the Eviscerator for anti-horde, right? Like you were here a minute ago when I said that you can literally kill 20 Poxwalkers in a single turn with an Eviscerator Assassin. And you can probably actually kill more than 20 because you could shoot your pistol 4 at other units as well. And if anyone tries to fall back from you, you can shoot your pistol 4 as well. I've used Eviscerators before to kill units of like intercessors in the backfield. And I want to say that in a single turn, he basically killed 2 5-man squads of infiltrators. Or intercessors, sorry. I paid 2 CP to make him fight twice. But remember, every time he kills a model, he gets an additional attack. And so you can drop down, you can pistol 4 one squad, you can then 3d6 charge in, you can fight with your 8 attacks, any kills you make give you an additional attack, and then you can pay 2 CP to fight again with your 8 attacks. Again, any kill will give you an additional attack. So yeah, I mean, my Eviscerator Assassin is painted white, but like when you mention it like that, right, he's actually not bad. Like he's one of the more interesting assassins. I rate him probably the Calyxus and the Calidus and the Eviscer are kind of all reasonably decent assassins, I guess. But yeah, he's more situational, right? Like you need the enemy to have the right units that are chaffy and easy for him to chew through. If they don't have them, maybe he doesn't do that much work, right? Anti-monster with 15 3 damage weapons is pretty solid here. 2 Redemptors, a Multi-Melta, Vanguard Veterans with Claws, Death Company, and Sanguinary Guard. Like I think, and then all those characters as well. I think we're going to go for a 9.5 here. Mobility-wise in this list is generally pretty great. The things that aren't mobile are your Assault Intercessors and your Eliminators, but you do have the... Do you know what? If you've you said you would put the Carbine on the Eliminators, so arguably they are mobile. So I guess the only things that are not mobile are the Blade Guards, the Judasar, and the Assault Intercessors, so I think mobility is actually pretty high as well. Specialization, so we've got the fight last, we do not have any denies. I guess that's a small downside. We're also only with like 2 units for actions. Again, that's another small downside. So maybe like a 9 here. Not having any denies can be pretty annoying. If the enemy take one of, like, if they take, what's the... I don't have chapter approved in front of me. What is the... You've got 4 characters, 5 characters, I suppose, with the Eviscer, right? So, what's the... Are the missions in here? Missions. Are they... no. Let me just search, like, engage on all fronts. I know which mission I'm looking for. Mental interrogation, right? Score 3 victory points each time you successfully complete the following psychic action. Mental interrogation, warp charge of 4. One psychic character from your army can attempt to perform this action in your psychic phase if it is within 18 inches of an enemy character. So basically, by having no denies, I guess, like and having 5 characters, that opens up mental interrogation as a very, very easy secondary for the opponents to score. You know, like warp charge of 4 is an easy one to deny, I guess, potentially. So it's just something to think about, I guess. So probably maybe like a half point off for that. I've definitely had Colin use that against me like a few weeks ago, right? Where like I had no psyker in my list and he just took mental interrogation and scored 15 points. And one of the times he literally actually scored it with a roll of a 4 for the warp charge. So maybe we take half a point off for that. So something like this. 41.5 Maverick. So I think it's a pretty strong list. It's definitely a very killy list, and I think it kind of can kill quite a few different things. I think it might be stronger if these assault intercessors were incursors, so that you have 2 options of units for guerrilla tactics. And it might also be stronger if you dropped just one of these regular bikes, right? Like, because there's no... How many... In an attack bike squad, how many bikes do you have to have? You have to have 3 bikes. Bike squad. Yeah, you have to have 3. Ah, that's annoying. Okay, then you can't drop a bike. Because I was going to say, like, it might be stronger to just have, like, 2 squads of incursors than the eliminators in terms of raw survivability. Why am I now thinking 2 Evissers, fill the gap, deep striking packers for BA? I mean, I think it's situational, right? Because Evissers really only hit its strength 4 with no bonus to the... So if the enemy's going to have a lot of strength 4 or less stuff, then they're decent. But if they don't, then they're kind of neutered, I guess. You could take the Calixtus instead, so you'd be able to abhor the Witch. That's true, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I don't like, I guess, is the lack of CP. I mean, I was going to say, do we have 2 Mastercraft? This guy's weapon is a regular Thunderhammer, maybe good enough here to get 1 more CP to start. And just because if you're gonna Forlorn Fury the Death Company, you're gonna be super low on CP. And I mean, this list works with, the Forlorn Fury and the Death Company is gonna help, right? Yeah, I mean, I feel, yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah, so maybe technically we should knock off another half point here because he's got so much. Like, I've never I've never included starting CP in the list scoring, so I'm not going to start now. But it's just something to be aware of. Like the CP is it's super low. I think the Mastercrafted weapon stands out as probably one of the lowest ones that we could tweak. Or the lowest value thing that we could tweak, maybe. Yeah. But I mean, it's certainly fun to see all those strong characters in a list, and I guess if you're trying to intimidate / scare your opponent, then you probably achieve that with the 3 characters, basically: Thunderhammer, Hammer of Baal, Benediction of Fury, and then the Visitor to join the battle from Deep Strike. So yeah, I think it's solid. Would it be more solid if, like, we lost... I was going to say, if we lost one of the characters with the relic and brought in a librarian with a jump pack? I mean, people love librarians with jump packs. You know, that mobile null zone can be very, very strong. I dropped it from my list for a while, but I think it was the wrong call. I'm bringing it back. Here's a question. Did that list that was doing really well at that open have a librarian with a jump pack with null zone? Okay, let's move on to list number 3 for today, which is going to be Blanket of Pie, or Blanket O Pie. Sounds like a name from like Monkey Island. No librarian. Alright, interesting. He actually went for the Sanguinary Ancient. Do you know what? I've barely seen a list that includes the Sanguinary Ancient, Mark. Like, I'm trying to actually remember the last time we saw a stream where there was I think there was one, maybe in like the last 20 lists we've looked at, but like, even at 110 points, I thought the general consensus was we thought that the Sanguinary Ancient was a little bit overcosted, but yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Recommendations on how to kit bash a captain on a bike. You need to find a regular firstborn biker. The Outriders bases are too large. Wildling. So you're looking for basically Space Marine bikers. You can usually find them on eBay, usually for about $10. You think he's solid at 110 points? Okay, interesting. I thought he still felt a little bit overcosted, but then do you know what? Maybe we just need to suck it up, because a lot of our stuff does feel like it's a little overcosted. You know, like if you compare, and I know that Mark gave me a hard time the other night, but like if you do compare like Dante against that new Orc Captain, that Snake Bite Brawler or whatever, you know, like he's 5 points more, and he's literally twice as good as Dante. So like, maybe in general, just our stuff is a little bit overcosted. If you're on Death Company, Vanguard Veteran, 3 Sanguinary Guard, and the Ancient with the Wrath is what you do, no matter the cost. It's like the Priest discussion. I see. So even though he's overcosted, you just take him and you just throw him down the board really quickly, and you cross your fingers, I guess. Okay, let's move on to Blanket of Pie's list. So this is list number 3 for today. And we're starting with a battalion this time. So first battalion of the day, and we're going to end this list with 7 CP. Okay, so cool. So we have 2 relics of the chapter, Captain on the Bike, Heroic Bayring and Gift of Foresight, and Hammer of Baal. Interesting. Alright. We have the Primaris Chaplain on the Bike with the Mantra of Strength and the Canticle of Hate, and he is the Master of Sanctity, and he is the Vox Spiritum and the Wiserator. So he's got both his Captain and his Chaplain with their auras increased in area, right? The Vox Spiritum is a Space Marine one. I've never actually ran this Vox Spiritum, but we've talked about it a few times, and me just refresh myself with the rules. Add 3 inches to the bearer's aura abilities to a maximum of 9 inches. This does not increase the range of aura abilities that are psychic powers. So it basically would mean that his Canticle of Hate aura would move up to 9 inches, and I guess his Litany of Hate rerolls would also potentially move up to 9 inches. Right, we're then moving for a Sanguinary Priest at 155 points. And this guy is basically your chief apothecary, but we're arming him with the Teeth of Terra. So, I'm really on the fence about giving the priest upgrades. Like, if the enemy want to kill the priest, they'll kill the priest. Upgrades generally don't really help him, and I wouldn't put him in combat. So it's an interesting question. We then have intercessors, and we've got 3 squads of them. And each squad, or 2 of the squads, have the auto bolt rifles and 1 of the stalkers. That tells me that the stalkers are going to sit back and defend objectives. The auto bolt rifles are going to push forward and take objectives. We then have Sanguinary Guard, and it's 2, 4, 6, 8 with bolt guns and swords. And then it's another Sanguinary Guard, 4 with bolt guns and axes, and 2 infernal pistols. And then axes are sort of becoming slightly better now because of the amount of toughness 5 enemies, but swords are still okay, I'm sure. Swords are actually really great if you have Null Zone, but we don't have a Psyker in this list. We then have the Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws, Infernal Pistol, and Relic Blade times 2, 5 of them. So these these could all almost have been set up as one squad for combat squad, but I guess you can only take a Relic Blade on the Sergeant, so not quite. And he actually has plenty of elite slots, so it doesn't really matter because you've got 2 more spaces for elite squads. And then we have attack bikes with multi-meltas. Why are these 325 points? I guess it's the biker plus 5 other bikers. They're 30 points a model, so it's 180. Why is this so expensive? Why is this 325 points for attack bikes? But it's only 1 attack bike and it's regular bikers. Gotta look at the points cost of this. And they're fast attack. Okay, fast attack. Here we go. Bike squad. So 30 points a model. So there's 6 bikers. So there's a sergeant plus 6. So that's 180 points. And then he's got a regular attack bike in there as well. I guess that's not listed here, but you add an attack bike to the... So you add the attack bike for 65 points. So that's like 245 points. So why is this so expensive? He's got a couple of grav guns in there. That makes it like 265. I have no idea why that squad's 325 points. Oh, and a power sword. So that would be another 5, right? Power sword, 5 points. Yeah, so it would be 270. So why... What am I missing? Why is this 325 points? Oh, right. So yeah, you're right. It's 8 attack bikes. Okay, so it's 5 bikes with nothing, and then add on another 2 bikes. So 330 actually. So this, I've got the points cost wrong. So he's got 8 attack bikes. Is that right? I thought... Yeah, I mean, I guess that's right. So we haven't seen that before. Someone going all in on the bike squad. So basically 7 bikers, the bike sergeant, and an attack bike. Sergeant has the power sword, 2 grav guns, and then the multi-melta. So I guess that's a lot of ablative wounds for that one multi-melta on the attack bike. Wow, okay. Okay, so we've got 8 bikes, and then we've got 2 Invader ATVs. Interesting. I feel like if you're going to have that many bikers, right? Like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, if you've got that many bikers, you're going to want the bikers in close combat, right? Because, like, they really don't do much damage with their bolt guns. But then if you throw them into close combat, then you're stuck with your attack bike with its multi-melt in close combat, I guess you could fall back and shoot, because you can do that for 1 CP, I suppose. So you could charge with your 8 bikes, you could fall back, you could shoot. It's an interesting one. In my list, we recommended the 3 bikes plus attack bikes times 3. Yeah, I mean, you could do that here almost, where you could have 2 sets of 3 with the attack bike in it. That might be better. Okay, so 2 Invader ATVs, the bike squad, 2 Vanguard vets, 2 Sanguinary Guard. He likes to go with 2s in this list, apparently. And then 3 intercessors, and then the captain, the chaplain, and the priest. I think these are the 3 choices that Chris Chance used in his competitive list, wasn't it? So let's have a look at the scoring and see what we come up with. So 3 intercessors, so that gives us about an 8 for an obsec. Anti-infantry, I guess anti-infantry is going to be pretty strong. You've got all these auto-bolt guns, you've got a bunch of auto-bolt rifles here, you've got a bunch of firepower coming out from the invaders and the attack bikes, quite a lot of twin bolt guns here. So maybe like an 8. 3 damage weapons then, I guess the captain and the chaplain, that gives us 2. The 2 infernal pistols here, another 2 infernal pistols here, and then the multi-melt is times 3, so 9 3 damage weapons. So right on, or 3 damage or above, I guess. So right on sort of the limit for 3 damage weapons. You know, if you, so 4 jump squads, and you've got 8 Sanguinary Guard and a 4. I wonder if a 5 and a 7 would be better. I feel like if I was going to run 12 Sanguinary Guard, I'd run them as a 5 and a 7, probably. Because I don't know what the group of 4 really accomplishes, except if you're going after like really weak units. It's my opinion, I guess. But I think it's decent against monsters. It isn't as strong as the last list, I don't think. But 3 multi-meltas, one of which is very protected and stuff, and then mobility is really good here. You've just got your intercessors that aren't mobile, 3 squads of them. One of them is probably going to sit in objectives, 2 of them is probably going to push forward. So I reckon, I'm going to say, is it slightly better than the last list in mobility? Probably, just because you've got all those bikers as well. Let's see the character loadouts again. The character loadouts are the captain with the Hammer of Baal, Heroic Bearing and Gift of Foresight, the chaplain with the Voxus Spiritum, Canticle of Hate, the Mantra of Strength, obviously the Litany of Hate, and then the priest with the Chief Apothecary and the Teeth of Terror. Okay. So we've got no denies. We do have 3 units for actions. We don't have any fight last, and we're kind of short on 3 damage weapons. So no denies, no fight last, short on 3 damage weapons. Like, I'd probably take like 2.5 points off for that. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. You know, maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on I was going to say, maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on stuff like denies and fight last, but they are important against certain armies. Now, I mean, I kind of like the fact that he's gone Heroic Bearing and Voxus Spiritum, so it's like, if he does need to get rerolls to hit in combat, and because both these guys are on bikes, it does mean that almost, like, you could almost guarantee all the Vanguard vets, all the Sanguinary Guard are going to get at least some form of 2-hit rerolls in combat. Hey then, how you doing? So you like a Librarian Dreadnought for HQ choice and run 2 Redemptors and a Tech Priest. Sorry, noob question. I've never actually ran the Librarian Dreadnought with the Tech Marine. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad pick, right? Like, the thing about Librarian Dreadnought is Tech Marine won't keep up with him, because Librarian Dreadnought can fly 12 inches and he moves 6, so he's potentially got an 18-inch turn 1 move, I guess. I do like the Librarian Dreadnought. In my meta, though, there's so many multi-meltas going around, he usually gets popped pretty quickly. He just gets focused down. That's why I like Iron Resolve on him usually. But, I mean, my meta is a little bit samey at the moment because, some people are waiting on the codexes, some people aren't playing so much at the moment, so it's like I either have to play up against a lot of multi-meltas or none, right? Definitely need a few more 3 or 4 damage weapons. High wound enemy models will be tough, but it's a fun list. Yeah, and I mean, Death Guard counter. Like, I ran a list recently that had like, I think it had 10 3 damage weapons in it, and I ran it into Death Guard, and I had a horrific time. Like Death Guard, that -1 they have to all damage it's just crazy good. Save points on the Intercessor Sergeants and give the Vanguard Veterans Thunderhammers. I can understand having a special weapon on the Intercessor Sergeants, but I think the Power Fist is probably the wrong call. I think you go Thunderhammer or Power Sword on these guys. Again, if you're running against Death Guard or if you're running against Dreadnoughts, the Power Fist literally gives you no more damage. We need to look at Colin's list tonight, John. Yes, that would be great, Reziel. I asked Haley, messaged him before the stream asking him if he would send over his list, and I sent him mine. But it would be good. I mean, I'm on such a bad loss streak now. I think it's I don't think it's 7 games, but I think out of the last 8 games I've lost 7. I think I lost 3, then I beat Colin, and then I think I've lost another 3. And we're playing the new Orc Codex next week, so that might be a tough game as well. But, I did say I wanted to lose games before the tournament, so... yeah, exactly, lost streak. So I think I need to... I find Mortarion very... Like, in my other list, I just don't think I had the means to kill Mortarion. I actually just genuinely don't... I think in my list, like my list is designed to fight lots of different armies, right? It's not designed to just fight Death Guard. And I think against Death Guard and Mortarion, if I do not get a null zone off from Mortarion, I'm actually not sure how I kill him. So, because the Sanguinary Guard lose all their rerolls against him, right? And like the strength of the Sanguinary Guard is kind of their rerolls and stuff, or the strength of the Blood Angels. The way that I use my list to get the most strength is we have our Chapter Master there throwing rerolls out through the whole game, and without them, I feel like we're a lot weaker. And Mortarion obviously turns off the rerolls, so the Sanguinary Guard really don't do good damage to Mortarion at all. If I get a null zone off on Mortarion, and I manage, if I get a null zone off on him and I hit him with all my plasmas and my multi-meltas and then charge him, yeah, he's dead. But it's one of those things, it's a bit like Gav's deployment last week, right? Like, it's literally a 50-50 chance, because if I want to cast Null Zone and I'm within range of Mortarion, he is 100% going to try and deny it. So at that point, it's literally, I roll my 2d6, Colin rolls his 2d6, and if I roll higher than him, I probably win the game, because I can kill Mortarion in a single turn. If he rolls higher than me, I can't kill Mortarion. I end up throwing a ton of stuff into him, Mortarion doesn't die, and I lose the game, right? So I actually hate plays like that. Because, like, Warhammer is obviously a tactics game, and I like to use, like, my superior knowledge of tactics to win games. And when it comes to that, I guess there's no tactics. The one thing that I haven't really used much on Mortarion, which I possibly could try and use more, is Angel Sacrifice, right? So I could just throw the whole Sanguinary Guard in on Mortarion, except that as long as another character can get in charge range, just be like, right, I'm just going to Angel Sacrifice the other character, keep all the Sanguinary Guard alive, and then maybe try and kill him in his other turn. I like Gav initially. I mean, there's something to be said about that AdMech list, Mark. I don't know. I don't want to complain too much about it, but like some of those like 15-point units or like 18-point models that have pistol 5 are kind of ridiculous. You know, like when we shoot pistols from, let's say, Assault Intercessors or Blade Guard Veterans, we're lucky if we get a single hit and or wound. With those guys, it's like, oh, my 10-man squad of little shitty, whatever they're called, infiltrators, get 50 pistol shots. I would much, like if I said to you, would you like to swap your heavy bolt pistol, strength 4, -1 damage, for pistol 5, strength 3, no AP? I think you'd swap in a heartbeat, right? I'd be more impressed you and Gav set up a game exactly as it was, but with Blood Angels winning the turn roll-off. That would be interesting, actually, Mark. I could ask Gav if he'd be interested in doing that and see if it actually makes a difference. And now I know what all this stuff does. Turn 1 was 2 hours long. Yeah, it didn't help that Gav hadn't played for a year, right? And he needed to remember all the rules. But anyway, so Blanket of Pie, 41.5 out of 50. I think it's a solid list. It's a good number of CP to start with. If this was me, I might even swap out like one of these squads of intercessors for a squad of incursors. Just give you that 4-row deployment. And yeah, I've mentioned a couple of things that maybe it could do better. Obviously, no denies. And a few more 3 damage weapons. Okay. That's Blanket of Pie. So we'll move on to list number 4 first. Let me update the header thing. But yeah, tough game on that admit. But yeah, I hate plays where it's like 50-50. You're going to win the game or not. Like, I just don't like that. But, like I said, my list, I'm not trying to build a list that's just going to fight Death Guard, and I guess that's the problem, right? I like all those bikes with the Selfless Healer. Yeah, that'd be a lot of bikes that they have to whittle down to ever be able to kill that attack bike, right? Okay. Cool. Yeah, I just want to have fun on the channel, Riziel. Like we did a few games maybe like a few months ago where people said like we were taking it super seriously. So we're just trying to have fun. If someone wants to proxy, like I'm not going to proxy anything, and I'm generally only ever going to field painted models, or at least 3 color painted models, right? But if someone wants to proxy something against me, I'm not gonna say no. And I try and keep it lighthearted and fun. I guess that's the main thing. But it does feel a little bit tough to be a Blood Angel right now. All these new codexes coming out, it does feel like, I think someone said it best in Discord, that like our codex felt like a 8.5 version of codex, where like these 9 edition codexes feel really, really strong. Okay, so let's move on to Lucky Jim. Let's see how Lucky Jim is. Patrol detachment, and is this an incomplete list? Huh. This does not look like a 2k point list. I don't veto or I don't check these lists between streams or anything. 623 plus 248. So this is an 871 point list. I do not know. I don't know what this is for then. Alright, let's have a little look. Anyway, so Primar's Chaplain with Litany of Hate and is the Warlord. Assault Intercessors and Intercessors. Blade Guard Veterans and Suppressors. And then the Sanguinary Ancient and the Sanguinary Guard. And it's 870.1. So this must be some sort of list he's just starting. And maybe he wants some suggestions. I guess right, I'm not going to score this because it's incomplete. With your pile of shame, do you need to proxy anything? I guess probably not really. There is some of those new units that I would like to pick up. Like, I would like to have some of those new land speeders, even if they're not the most competitive thing, because they look fun. And I don't have an Ironclad Dreadnought or a Venerable Dreadnought, so there are some things I don't have. But I mean, I haven't bought anything new except that Tech Marine probably in 6 months. I've been trying to get through my backlog. I've been really, really trying. I promise you guys, I've been trying. So, and I think probably this year I'll hit 10,000 points of painted Blood Angels up to a good standard. I've got a bunch of stuff that's painted really badly. Yeah, I mean, this list, I guess this is an incomplete list, so we're not going to score it, but suggestions are, the Sangre Ancient is going to work. I mean, the only reason to take the Ancient, I suppose, is your Warlord, right, is if you're giving him the Wrath of Baal. Well, I mean, I suppose, because if he's next to the Sanguinary Guard, he gives them the +1 to hit, so I guess if you want to use the Sangre Ancient to the best effect, I feel like you need more jump pack units, right? Because at this point, 1 Sangre Ancient plus 4 Sanguinary Guard versus 7 Sanguinary Guard. I think I take the 7 Sanguinary Guard in that situation. It's more wounds and it's probably more damage, but this is only 871 points, so I think what you want to do is you want to add to your jump units, right? So you want to add Vanguard Veterans, or you want to add Death Company. I think if you do that and buff this out, 871 points, you could literally add 5 Death Company with Bolters and Chainswords. That's 125 points. That would take you up to 996. So I guess that's probably where I'd start, or add. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to start swapping out other stuff. I'm sorry, Lucky Jim, this isn't really complete. I guess if you do watch the stream back, put a comment on what you want to do with this list, how many points you're trying to get it to, and I suppose let's take it for there. Okay. So yeah. And I mean, I'll try and bump you up the queue a bit because you've probably been waiting a little while to get reviewed because, yeah, I don't know. It definitely feels incomplete. Okay, and then we also had another 1K list today to look at, which was... Well, let's have a look at this. So I think this is a list called The Last March, and it is a 1,000-point list, and it's going to start with 2 CP, and I guess it's just looking at what we can do with Dreadnoughts. So HQ, which are Librarian Dreadnought, Shield, Wings, Meltagun, Rights of War, obviously because there's going to be no obsec because we're all Dreadnoughts. Death Company Dreadnought, 2 Heavy Flamers, Blood Talons. We talked a little bit about the Blood Talons, and I'm in 2 minds if the Blood Talons are actually worth the 10 points you spend for them, right? Because the Death Company Dreadnought comes with 2 Furioso Fists that are free. And when so you're basically paying 10 points to lose 1 point of AP, -3 goes down to -2, and you can reroll the wound. But you're probably going to wound on 2s, right? Because the Furioso Fist is going to be strength 12 with +1 to wound. I suppose the Blood Talons are going to be strength 10 with +1 to wound, so you're probably going to wound on 2s. If you talk about something like Mortarion, where you don't even get to reroll the wounds, is 10 more points worth reroll to wounds and lose a point of AP? I mean, you decide on that one, but I feel like maybe the Death Company Dreadnought can be 10 points cheaper if you just take double Furioso Fist, right? We then have a Furioso Dreadnought with 1 Heavy Flamer, the Heavy Frag Cannon, and Smoke Launchers. I was going to say, Smoke Launcher's the right choice on the Death Company Dreadnought now as well. I don't think the Magna Grapple really adds much at all, based on the fact that enemies can shoot in combat now. I really don't see much point in the Magna Grapple, period. We then have a Leviathan Dreadnought with the twin Volkite Cavaliers, a Hunter Killer Missile, the Storm Cannon, and the Siege Claw with the Meltagun. So very much an infantry killing Leviathan. Redemptor with rocket pods, the macroplasma, the onslaught, and the fist, and then the venerable dreadnought with the missile launcher and the las cannon. I guess this one can sit on the backfield objective and shoot. I roll like crap, so you think the 10 points is worth it. What would you put those 10 extra points into? I suppose that's a very good question. In this list, about the only thing I think you could do is you could start your Leviathan with 3 Hunter Killers, I guess. Yeah, potentially that's about it, I think. I mean, can the Venerable Dread take Hunter Killers? Because it would hit on 2s, right? It's a good question. Like I said, I don't own a Venerable Dread. Venerable Dreadnought. No. Okay. The dice god looks more favourable on rerolls than just rolling more dice to hit. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the Blood Talons, right? Like, I'm just saying 10 points for when potentially it's probably only rerolls of 1s, because you're going to wound everything on 2s probably, so it adds a little, I guess. I mean, I suppose you could have a duff roll where you roll 3 1s or something, and like, you know, if I ever do that, that'll be what happens on stream. It's like, I'll be like, oh, you don't need Blood Talons, and then I'll roll 3 1s for the wound rolls without not having the Blood Talons. But I guess, like, if you are scrimping for points and you need to find 10 points, I guess that's probably what I'd say I'd do, I guess. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dreadnoughts then. Let's think about this and do a little bit of scoring. Obsec, I guess, is going to be poor, but I imagine you'll sit your Venerable Dreadnought on one of those objectives and it'll just shoot every turn. So, and you did have Rights of War, so let's say it's a 7. The Librarian Dreadnought can jump onto another objective and cause mayhem, maybe backed up with by the Death Company Dreadnought. Potentially you could Forlorn Fury that. Anti-infantry, I mean, you get 2 heavy flamers, another heavy flamer, the twin Volkite Cavalrines, the storm cannon, onslaught cannons, I suppose a missile launcher with frag. I think anti-infantry is actually really good here. Anti-armor is also good, I suppose, like macroplasma. All these dreadnoughts are going to have melee weapons just about. We've got Meltagun thrown in, and we've also got, I guess the frag cannon is actually good in the anti-infantry as well, so like maybe that's even a 9. I guess I don't know, close combat's probably about a 9 as well. I guess because it's a smaller board size and you've got Rights of War giving you some obsec, I think it's actually pretty cool. I guess mobility is going to fall over a little bit. Let's go with like a 7, right? Because you're going to be foot slogging everything. Librarian Dreadnought can fly. Death Company Dreadnought can Forlorn Fury, but you are sort of rough on CP. Why is it only... Oh, right, yeah, it's only going to start on 6 CP because you're going to spend 3 on your detachment, and then you're going to spend 1 on giving him Rights of War. Okay, so CP is a little rough. If you Forlorn Fury it, you're literally starting with 1 CP. And then specialization, I mean, you do have a deny, which is great. Units for actions, I guess you've got nothing. You don't have fight last. 3 damage weapons, you have a ton. I'm getting phone called here. Hold on. I can't take this right now. Guys, 1 second. I'm going to have to take this. It's work. Alright, I'm really sorry about that, guys. Cool. Just I don't usually have to work on the weekend, but if something breaks, someone sometimes phones me. Okay. Yeah, sorry, where were we? We were looking at this Dreadnought list. And specialization, I guess. Every single unit has a 3 damage weapon, I guess, with the fists, right? We don't have any units for actions, but we do, I guess, have some OBSEC, and I guess we do have an eye. So I guess because it's 1,000 point, list, I guess, and it is all dreads. You're gonna scare people with all dreads. Everything in the list is gonna be toughness 7. So there's no... Yeah, I think everything in the list is toughness 7 or above. Actually, I think everything in the list is just toughness 7 because they made the Leviathan down to toughness 7 from 8, right? I work for a small video games company, like an independent video games company. We actually made a Warhammer game a few years back, so... I guess this isn't a friendly list. I think 8 goes on specialization, and I actually think that this is a pretty fun and strong 1K list. I kind of like it. I would run this in 1K. I mean, it'd be a simple list for, like your turns would be pretty quick because you only have 6 models to move. And you kind of know exactly what you need to do, right? You just need to leave one Dreadnought behind and get those other Dreadnoughts across the battlefield. So, and they are all -1 damage, you're right. So in some ways, this is almost like the problem when you fight Death Guard, right? So everything is -1 damage. Everything is 7 toughness or above. If the enemy doesn't have a very good anti-armor list, like if they're their list that's going to fight against everything, they're going to have serious problems against this list. So yeah, thank you for submitting that. I mean, it's a pretty fun one. I have a 2K list with 12 dreads and a Primaris Tech Marine. How many CP do you start with 12 dreads and a Tech Marine? Is it a Blood Angels list that you run? Grazkul. Cool. Alright, so we're a little bit... 6 CP. I mean, that's not bad. I suppose, yeah, it's just 2 Vanguard attachments, I suppose, so that's going to take your CP, right? Forget Forge Roll Dreads at the moment, as you can't. I think you can use Forge Roll Dreads pretty validly at the moment. I think they still have a good number of weapons options. Which one do you think doesn't have a lot of weapons options? Like, because the Leviathan has a good number of weapons options, and so does the Relic Contemptor, as far as I know. And I think both, like, Relic Contemptors are actually... We're going to be doing the Forge Roll tier list next week, Mick, and we're going to be covering dreads then. So, that's definitely something... that you probably want to watch if you don't rate the Forge Roll dreads. Because there's a few of them that I think is actually pretty good. Okay. Alright, guys, sorry it's a little bit shorter stream today. I guess one list was a bit incomplete, but we did have that bonus 1K list in there as well. So I guess Maverick and Blanket of Pie kind of shared the spoils on the strongest list of this week, but I'm going to say Mark's Dreadnought list is going to be a very fun list. If you have those 6 Dreadnoughts and you have a 1,000 point game coming up, I would say include those, because that is actually really fun. I worked for the Unholy Blizzard in California for a while. Yeah, there's a lot of mess going on with Blizzard right now. It's unfortunate because I actually really like some of Blizzard's games. Okay, so yeah, I think that's us for today. I think we're going to be back tomorrow playing against Death Guard. I will be putting the Death Guard into the... I'll put the Death Guard list into stream for tomorrow. And I'll also put it into the members room in Discord. So if anyone's got any feedback or anyone wants to help me out, break my losing streak tomorrow, that would be appreciated. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the rest of your weekend. Like I said, this week on the channel, Game Against Death Guard, and then the next tier list video coming up, we're looking at Forge World. Who's up next week? Very good question, Jar Miniatures. Thanks for reminding me. I think next week it's Anthony, Balanced Hydra, Caps Boy, and Chris Mason. And then the week after that, so I guess the end of the month, like the 29th, will be James Fisher, yourself, Jar Miniatures, Matt Stalker, and Sellers, Bergener, and I think after that we've got James Gibb as a member, and I'll bring those ones up to week 3. So we've got James Gibb, and we got one space for members 3 weeks from now. And that's it. And like an hour after the stream, I'll post these lists into the video descriptions if anyone wants to see them. You're very welcome, Wildling. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate all the support in the streams. And we look forward to some Blood Angels versus Thousand Sun battle reports. I will see what we can do. I know that Brett is getting the Hexfire box. I think it's either today or probably tomorrow, I guess, because of it's Sunday. So yeah, we'll see if we can get Thousand Suns on the stream soon. We're going to get the new Orc Codex on the stream next Monday, though, I think. I'm not sure what all new Orc models Brett has yet, but I will, as soon as I know, I'll let you know. And I actually, a little bit off topic, I've actually been working on a new series for the channel as well. I started it last week. I haven't filmed anything yet, but I've been making a lot of slides and stuff. So hopefully, once we finish the tier series, we'll have another new series. It'll be it's Brett that has the Orc army. So typically I do beat Brett, but I mean, who knows with the new Orcs? I feel like I'm a slightly better strategist than Brett, but yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because I stick to one army and he moves around a bit. And, you know, Kev has an Eldar army, and Kev has just about every Eldar unit. I just don't think their codex is in a good place right now. But a minute ago, I think Mark just said that it was Eldar in the final of a GT. Did I misread that? Is it Dark Eldar in the final, or is it actual just Eldar in the final? I'm not seeing it in the chat. If you got to the final with Eldar, then that's really, really impressive, because Craft World, okay. Because I've played Kev like 5 times with this Craft World, and I feel like I've destroyed him every time. Like, it's not even been a contest. Like, it's been like 90 points to 27. I think maybe in one of the games Kev got like 60, but like, I thought Eldari were in a very bad place right now. So who knows? I thought Blood Angels were in a bad place, but apparently they're going to finish in the top 3 or top 4, so I guess we'll see. Okay, thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, please hit the like button. If you want to see more Blood Angels content, you know to hit that subscribe banner. And no, ignore me. I misread with the moron. All right, okay. Blood Angels versus Eldari for 3rd or 4th. I mean, I wouldn't have expected that. But I mean, I guess it is what it is, you know. So, okay. Hopefully I'll catch some of you guys tomorrow night for Death Guard match. And if not, we'll probably see you guys on Friday for the next tier list video. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate the ongoing support. And we will catch you next time. By the blood are we made, brothers. Peace.